The American Institute of Architects Colorado chapter embarked on an oral history project to capture firsthand the stories of architects who have achieved fellowship, the highest honor awarded to members within the AIA. The interviews preserve their career highlights, sources of influence and inspiration, anecdotes about significant Colorado architecture, as well as personal philosophies and even humor. Of particular interest was how these architects became interested in architecture as a profession. David Barrett, FAIA, is the founder and principal in charge of design at Barrett Studio Architects in Boulder, Colorado.
Going into high school, I started taking, along with all the college courses, taking drafting, and I continued to draw and paint. And I liked the drafting too. I liked that idea of being able to technically construct three-dimensional objects and cut sections through things, and so it came naturally. So I was lucky enough to find a skill set that I basically had. Now, mathematics I had to struggle through. I remember the counselor telling me and my parents at one point in high school, when I said I wanted to be an architect, he laughed and said, "You know, David, with your math scores, you're not going to be an architect." And I was enough of an Irishman that someone wasn't going to tell me I couldn't do something. He probably served me in retrospect, because often it's those times when people tell you what you can't do that really are the motivators. And so I was highly motivated to be an architect.
Cherie Jarreau, FAIA, is principal and co-founder of Jarreau & Associates in Evergreen, Colorado.
My undergraduate degree is in art history, and I have a real appreciation for the work that was done in Colorado. I loved architecture, but I don't know whether I felt like that was something that women didn't do, because, you know, growing up in the 60s and the 70s, I never met a female architect until I went to work at SOM. So for some reason I decided I couldn't, I guess, but then I decided I could.
David Triba, FAIA, is the founder of Denver's Triba Architects.
I really became aware of architecture beyond just subconsciously as they were building the Air Force Academy in the early 60s. Well, our family would take Sunday drives out to the site, and the power of this new built form tucked into the Rampart Range in northwestern Colorado Springs was something that was incredibly attractive. And as the Air Force Academy was completed, I remember going out there as a family to the first graduation and to particularly important ceremonial events out there, and watching the Walter Netch's chapel become completed. And there was just a sense of this human control and working with nature in this overall organized setting that I became very excited about.
Martha Bennett, FAIA, lead AP, is a principal and founding member of Bennett Wagner Grody Architects in Denver.
I actually was an art major. I started out as an art major in college at the University of Texas, and one of my girlfriends in my dorm room was an architecture major. We had the same sort of basic design stuff, color, form, texture, but she had time and motion as part of her beginning design problem. Her problems were just so much more interesting than mine, and we were up late doing our work. And so I started hanging out at her design studios in the afternoons. And at one point the teacher came up and confronted me, and I thought I was going to be thrown out. He said if I didn't start turning in work, he was going to flunk me. So I told him that I wasn't in architecture, and he thought that I should consider changing majors and set me up with that.
Watch interviews and learn more about Colorado architects in AIA Colorado's YouTube channel. This project was paid for in part by a History Colorado State Historical Fund grant.